Hello again, this is Jason Aldrich, Product Manager here at SOR, and today I am very excited to have the opportunity to introduce you to SOR's newest product, the 805QS electronic pressure switch. As you may have probably noticed by now, this looks a whole lot like our popular 805PT, and I would have to admit there's good reason for that, but we're getting just a bit ahead of ourselves. So today I want to quickly run through some of the basic features of this product, what it is, what it does, things like that. I also want to give a bit of background as to why this product exists and how it's being used. We're going to look at a few of the specifications of the 805QS and what it specifically brings to the table compared, say, to the 805PT. We want to touch on the functionality of the unit and some of the features and flexibility we've built into the 805QS. And then we're just going to look at some other basic information you might need to know when selecting the 805QS. So let's start off with just a few of the basics. The 805QS electronic pressure switch is a compact loop-powered pressure switch with a supplemental continuous output. So think of the 805PT but with the addition of a switch, and you will be exactly right. In fact, we've leveraged our experience with the 805PT pressure transmitter and made something even more versatile. The 805QS has all of the features and functionality of the 805PT, but it also provides a field-adjustable solid-state switch output. One of the earliest requests that we received when we released the 805PT was to add the ability to have a switch output. So what SOR did was go back into the design and just figured out a way to make this happen. Again, doing all of this without sacrificing anything that the 805PT already had to offer. So I mentioned customer requests for the 805QS, so I thought that it'd be good to go through one of the significant requests we received and just how they, in fact, are already using the additional features of the 805QS. So the long and short of the application is that this customer wanted something to use for wellhead pump control and shutdown. So this is a very large energy company, and they needed a product that could provide control for their pump jack via the 4 to 20 milliamp signal, but also needed a separate and independent solid-state switch output for emergency fail-safe purposes. So this customer saw a demonstration of the 805PT from our local sales rep and immediately saw the potential. He asked if we could add this switch functionality. Again, he wasn't the first person, but the rep and the regional sales manager called up the factory right there and kind of made the pitch and made their case for adding it. So engineering went off and came back with something that ended up being perfectly suited for their needs. You see, they wanted also a unique window type switch operation that closes when the pressure is between the minimum and maximum set points, but opens when the pressure is outside of this range, whether it's low or high. It also could be used as a fail-safe if the unit loses power, because the switch will always fail into the open condition and indicate a fault. So that being said, how does the 805QS compare with the 805PT? Well, once again, it really only adds to the feature set. The 805QS adds the functionality of a solid-state switch rated to 30 volts and 120 milliamps. As we already discussed, the switch is a normally open configuration and carries a plus or minus 2% upper range limit accuracy. So this is all in addition to the things you've already come to expect from the 805 series of products. It still is a small stick type design in a 3/16 stainless steel enclosure. It still has a 0.25% continuous output accuracy. You notice this is different from the switch accuracy above, and this is because, once again, the switch and the continuous output are totally independent from each other. Some other notable features that carry over to the 805QS are the factory temperature compensation that is over the entire range, as opposed to some of our competitors who only compensate over a small portion of their range. It still maintains a super quick 5 millisecond response time, which is particularly useful here if we're using the switch as a fail-safe device. And it still has the entire list of global certifications to make this product as OEM friendly as possible. But let's take a little time and discuss the switch output, and in particular some of the flexibility we've built into this feature. As we already said, the solid-state switch output is rated for 30 volts and 120 milliamps. We also already talked about the unique window type operation, but we haven't mentioned is that the 805QS can actually be configured 3 different ways depending on your application requirements. So all of these carry the additional safety feature of defaulting back to the open state in case of a fault condition. And all of these switch actions are completely user selectable at any time with the optional SOR calibration kit. If you're a user of the 805PT, you may have already purchased one of these kits since the 805QS uses the same calibration procedure. The only thing you'll need to do is go to our website at www.sorinc.com and download the software update for your calibration manager. This update provides the capability to recognize when an 805QS has been connected to the calibration kit and then allows the user to choose set points in addition to the zero and span capabilities. The first of 3 potential configurations is what we call the pressure window monitoring. Now this is the default configuration for the 805QS switch output. In this mode, the switch output is closed when the process pressure is within a user selectable range and open when the pressure is outside of these boundaries. So this is designed for applications where there is a known acceptable operating pressure range. So looking at the diagram here, might make things a little bit more clear. So for example, the window could be set for an acceptable operating range of 50 to 150 psi. The 805QS switch output will be closed when the pressure being monitored is between those points, between 50 and 150 psi. If the pressure goes below 50 or above 150, the 805QS will open. Remember, there is a plus or minus 2% URL switch tolerance around each specified set point. So keep that in mind when programming your acceptable switch points. You don't want to put them too close. They can only be plus or minus 4% upper range limit as close to each other, and they cannot be set outside of the zero and span set points. The next is a single set point with an action of open to closed. So in this configuration, the switch output will be open for pressures less than the selected set point. The switch output would then be closed for pressures greater than that set point. So you can see from that diagram there that this operation is a little bit more like a traditional switch action. It's not exactly the same. It does not employ a true deadband. But once again, you do see that plus or minus URL tolerance must be considered. So there is the switch set point that you put in there, and again, there is no really adjustable deadband or even any deadband associated with this. There's only that plus or minus 2% range to take into consideration. And the final configuration is very, very similar to the last. It's just exactly the opposite. It's a single set point open to closed. So in this configuration, the switch output will be open for pressures less than the selected set point. The switch output would then be closed for pressures greater than that set point. So just some things to keep in mind as you're using these new features. Particular switch actions can be pre-programmed by the factory. Just like the 805PT, we can take your specifications and deliver a product that's ready to use right out of the box. But again, keep in mind that the 805QS and the 805PT can be field adjustable at any point in time with the optional SOR calibration kit. The fail-safe state is open for all 3 configuration options. We did this to provide the highest level of safety for most applications. And also, once again, please consider that plus or minus 2% URL accuracy tolerance around each switch set point. Because of this, for best results, we do recommend that you use some sort of latching logic in your PLC or DCS in conjunction with using the 805QS. So we also thought it might be nice to go over some of the other things you might want to consider or remember during the selection process. The 805QS electronic pressure switch is meant to be a complementary product to the 805PT transmitter. Though they share the same heritage, they are both offered to give our customers maximum flexibility by allowing you to only purchase what you need. We've also found that this provides some flexibility on the front end as well, because many of our loyal SOR customers have been buying a pressure switch, and buying another pressure switch is sometimes easier than buying a pressure transmitter, since there's less paperwork involved to amend an approved vendor list or complete some other management of change process. So again, we're just trying to provide you with options. Also, a quick plug here for what is technically an accessory option. SOR has partnered with a well-known diaphragm seal manufacturer and custom designed a half-inch NPT flush-mounted diaphragm seal assembly that's capable of maintaining all of the same accuracy specifications as the standard product. Now, this is only available on certain pressure ranges, and there are obviously some cost and availability implications. So we do encourage you to talk with your customer service representative about this option. All right, so I'm sure at this point you're just dying to place your first 100-piece order, so we better move on to those details. The 805QS is available right now for sale in all configurations. The base list price is $435 US dollars. And just one last note, the 805QS is fully compatible with the SOR calibration kit. It does require an update to the calibration software that is available on the SOR website, but that's easily downloaded. And once you have done that, then you will be able to unlock all of the switch configuration features of the 805QS. And, well, that's about it. Thank you for joining us today as we welcome the 805QS to the expanding line of SOR products. I hope this has been helpful. As always, if you have any more questions, you can call your customer service representative, and they should be able to answer just about anything you can throw at them. Thanks again.